The battlefield was silent now, except for the sound of broken metal and the low hiss of burning wreckage. Smoke curled into the alien sky, thick and heavy, carrying the bitter smell of ash. The war had ended here only hours ago, but the ground still trembled with the memory of fire. A lone human soldier moved slowly through the ruins, his steps heavy, his breath uneven. His uniform was torn. His arm was cut and bleeding, but he forced himself forward. He thought he was the only living thing left. The screams of soldiers, both human and alien, had already faded into the shadows of memory. Around him, the bodies of machines lay twisted like dead animals. His head pounded, his throat dry. He was looking for water, maybe shelter, maybe anything that would keep him alive until rescue came. Then he heard it. A sound that did not belong to the ruins. It was faint at first, almost a whisper in the wind. A voice, thin and broken, carried through the trees at the edge of the battlefield. He froze. His heart began to beat faster. Carefully, he raised his weapon and turned toward the sound. It came again. A cry. A cry that was not human. The soldier narrowed his eyes. He had heard many alien voices before, usually in the heat of combat. This one was different. It was weak. It was filled with fear. Something inside him stirred, though he tried to silence it. He moved forward, each step cautious, each breath steady. The forest at the edge of the battlefield was dark, the trees glowing faintly under the alien moon. He pushed past the branches until he saw a strange light between the roots. The glow pulsed, bright and desperate. Then he saw her. An alien girl, caught in an energy snare. The trap had tightened around her slender body, glowing wires burning against her luminous skin. She struggled, gasping with each movement. Her skin shimmered like silver in the moonlight. Her eyes, large and bright, were wide with terror. The soldier lowered his weapon slightly, startled. She looked young, maybe the same age as the new recruits he once trained beside. She tried to free herself, but the harder she fought, the tighter the trap held her. Her breathing quickened when she saw him step closer. Her voice broke the silence. "Please! Please do not eat me!" The words hit him like a blade. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. He had heard many things in war, but never such a plea. He stood still, watching her tremble. Her fear was raw, real, almost unbearable to witness. She looked at him as if he were the monster from her childhood stories. The soldier did not move. His weapon hung at his side, but his eyes searched hers. Why would she say that? Who had told her that humans eat their enemies? The forest air grew heavy. The crackle of the trap was the only sound between them. She whispered again, softer this time. "Please! I do not want to die like this. Do not eat me!" Her voice cracked. Tears shone on her cheeks, glowing faintly in the strange light of her body. The soldier's chest tightened. He could end her suffering with one shot. He could walk away and leave her to fate. That was the way of war. Enemies lived or enemies died. But as he watched her, he felt something unfamiliar. Not hatred. Not vengeance. It was something else. Slowly, he put his weapon on the ground. The girl gasped, confused. He reached into his belt and pulled out his knife. Her body shook harder, certain he would strike her down. He crouched beside the trap, eyes locked on hers. With one swift motion, he cut into the glowing wires. Sparks flew. The trap loosened, then collapsed into dust. The alien girl fell forward, free at last. She coughed, her breath sharp and painful. Her hands pressed against the ground, weak but alive. She looked up at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. The soldier stepped back, giving her space. He did not speak. He only reached into his pack, pulled out a flask, and set it gently on the ground in front of her. She stared at it as if it were a trick. Slowly, her trembling hand reached for it. She lifted the flask to her lips, drinking the cool water. For the first time, her eyes softened, though fear still lingered in them. The silence stretched between them again, heavy but different now. Not the silence of death, but the silence of a question. Why had he spared her? The soldier did not know the answer himself. He only knew one thing. In this broken world, he had made a choice. Not to kill. Not to hate. But to show mercy. And mercy, on this night, felt like the most dangerous weapon of all. The alien girl's hands shook as she clutched the flask. Each sip of water slid down her throat like fire and ice together. She had been trapped for hours, maybe longer, with no hope of rescue. Now she was free, but her fear had not left her. Her eyes, glowing faintly under the moon, lifted toward the human. He stood a short distance away, silent, watchful. His weapon lay on the ground, but the knife still rested in his hand. She could not understand him. Why had he spared her? Why had he given her water? For her people, the answer was clear. Humans were predators. Humans were destroyers. Humans never spared their prey. Yet here stood one human who had broken every story she had ever been told. The soldier's breathing was slow but heavy. His wounds burned, but he did not let the pain show. He studied the alien girl carefully, not as an enemy, but as something fragile and lost. He had seen many things in war. He had seen cruelty, hunger, and betrayal. He had seen men become monsters. And now, here was a girl who believed he was one of those monsters too. The silence between them stretched long and deep. Finally, the soldier lowered his knife and slid it back into his belt. His voice, low and steady, broke the still air. "You are free." The girl blinked. The words were strange to her, yet simple. She looked at the remains of the trap, glowing wires turned to dust, and then back at him. Her lips trembled as she spoke. "Why? Why did you not kill me?" The soldier's eyes narrowed. He searched for an answer, but none came easily. At last, he said, "Because not every fight needs another death." The alien girl's breath caught. It was not the answer she expected. She had heard humans boast of conquest, of victory, of blood. Never of mercy. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. The cold night pressed against her thin form, and exhaustion weighed heavy on her shoulders. Her body wanted to collapse, but her spirit forced her to remain alert. She did not trust him yet. The soldier noticed her weakness. He reached for his pack again, pulling out a piece of ration bread. He placed it on the ground between them, then stepped back. Her eyes widened. "Food?" He nodded once. Cautiously, she crawled forward and picked up the bread. Her hands were still shaking, and she hesitated before biting into it. When she tasted it, her body tensed, waiting for poison, waiting for the cruelty her people had promised. But nothing happened. It was dry, plain, yet warm in her stomach. Tears welled in her eyes again. She had not eaten since before the battle. Her people had abandoned her. Her enemies had found her. And instead of death, she had been given life. The soldier sat down on a rock, his back straight, his eyes still sharp. He did not take his gaze off her, not because he mistrusted her, but because he wanted to see every flicker of her expression. Every piece of proof that she was real, not an illusion born from exhaustion. She whispered again, as if afraid her words would break the fragile peace. "All my life, I was told humans only kill. Only take. Only consume. But you—" She trailed off, unable to finish. The soldier's eyes softened. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. "Then maybe they lied to you." The fire inside her chest flickered, unsure if it was hope or danger. She could not answer him. She only looked at him with confusion, fear, and something else beginning to grow. Something she had never felt toward a human before. The night deepened. The stars above spread like 1,000 silent witnesses. The alien girl sat across from the human, her body still tense but her spirit torn between fear and gratitude. Every instinct told her to run, but her body was too weak. Every memory told her to hate, but her heart had begun to hesitate. She did not know what to believe anymore. The soldier leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment, though he remained alert. His hand rested near his weapon, not out of threat but out of habit. He knew the dangers of this world were not over. But for now, he had chosen mercy. The alien girl studied him as the firelight flickered against his tired face. She saw scars across his skin, marks of battle, pain, and survival. He was not the monster she had feared. He was something else entirely. She whispered to herself, barely audible, "Why do you show me kindness?" The soldier did not open his eyes, but his answer came firm, steady, and true. "Because kindness is stronger than fear." The girl's heart skipped. Her hands pressed against her chest as if to hold in the storm of emotions. For the first time, she began to believe the stories she had been told might not be true. The night carried on, but something had changed between them. An unspoken bond had been formed, fragile yet undeniable. And though the war raged far beyond the forest, here in the quiet of the night, mercy had built a bridge between human and alien. The fire crackled softly in the hollow of the ruined forest. Its glow painted both faces in shades of orange and gold. Beyond the trees, shadows moved, but here in the circle of light there was silence. The human soldier sat close to the flames, his body heavy with exhaustion, his mind sharper than ever. He cleaned the wound on his arm with a strip of cloth, hissing softly as the sting bit into him. The alien girl sat across from him, knees drawn to her chest, her eyes fixed on his every movement. She had never seen a human so closely. Their faces were different, rougher, their eyes deep with strange intensity. He looked dangerous even while sitting still. Yet there was something steady in the way he carried himself, something that reminded her of strength, but not cruelty. Her voice broke the silence. It was small, uncertain. "Why do you help me? You have no reason." The soldier lifted his head, his gaze locking with hers. He thought for a moment before answering. "Because war has already taken too much." His voice was quiet, almost lost under the crackle of the fire. She hugged herself tighter. His words touched something hidden inside her, something she wanted to ignore. But she could not. She whispered back, "My people say humans take everything. That you kill even when you do not need to. That you destroy because it is your nature." The soldier did not look away. His eyes, dark and steady, held hers as if to weigh the truth of her claim. At last he said, "Your people only see the part of us that fights. They do not see the part of us that builds, or protects, or loves." The alien girl's breath caught. That last word lingered in her mind like a spark in dry grass. She lowered her gaze, her heart beating faster. "Love," she whispered to herself, as if testing the sound. It felt strange on her tongue yet warm. The soldier leaned back, resting his body against a broken tree trunk. He closed his eyes for a moment, though his hands still stayed near his weapon. Old instincts did not fade easily. The girl watched him carefully, her mind torn. She had grown up with stories of humans as monsters, creatures who devoured everything in their path. But this human was wounded, tired, and yet he had freed her. He had given her water. He had given her food. He had spoken of mercy. Still, fear clung to her. She broke the silence again, her voice trembling. "If I sleep, will you kill me?" The soldier opened his eyes and looked at her, steady and calm. "No." The simple answer cut through her like a blade. No lies. No hesitation. Just a word spoken with weight. She wanted to believe him, but trust was hard to give when every story screamed against it. The night pressed in tighter. The forest was alive with faint noises, the hum of strange insects, the distant howl of a beast that did not belong to Earth. The girl shivered, not only from the cold but from the fear that lingered in her chest. The soldier noticed. He pulled his jacket from his pack and set it on the ground, sliding it across the dirt toward her. She stared at it, unsure. Then slowly, she reached out, fingers brushing against the rough fabric. She wrapped it around herself. The warmth was unexpected, heavy and comforting. Her voice softened, almost fragile. "You are not what I was told." The soldier's eyes softened in return. He said nothing. Words were too small for what he felt in that moment. The firelight danced between them, a fragile bridge built of flame and silence. Then she spoke again, a whisper that carried weight. "If your people find me, will they kill me?" The soldier paused. He wanted to tell her no. He wanted to give her comfort. But truth held him back. He met her eyes and answered honestly. Some would. Her body tensed. She pulled the jacket tighter around her shoulders, as if to shield herself from the cruel truth. But then he added, voice firm and steady, I would not let them. Her heart skipped. She stared at him, searching for deception, but found none. His eyes held no trick, no hunger. Only a quiet promise. The fire burned lower as the night grew deeper. The soldier leaned back again, his body finally allowing rest. His eyes drifted shut, though his breathing stayed controlled. The alien girl watched him in silence. For the first time, she did not see a monster. She saw a man, scarred and weary, yet strangely noble. A man who had chosen mercy when he could have chosen death. Her chest tightened with feelings she did not yet understand. Gratitude, fear, and something new that frightened her more than the war itself. She whispered into the night, so soft that only the trees could hear. Why do I feel safe with you? No answer came, for the soldier was already drifting into shallow sleep. But the bond between them had grown stronger, hidden in the quiet firelight. And in that darkness, one truth became clear. Trust, once broken for generations, had begun to return, all because of one man's choice. The first light of dawn touched the alien sky. Mist hung low across the ruined forest, wrapping the trees in silver fog. The soldier woke with his weapon in hand, instincts sharp, his eyes scanning every shadow. Across the fire, the alien girl stirred slowly, still wrapped in his jacket. She blinked, confused for a moment, then remembered where she was. For the first time since she had been captured, she had slept. Not deeply, not without fear, but she had slept. And she had not been harmed. The human had kept his word. She rose unsteadily, her body weak, her voice soft. Why do you not sleep more? You need rest. The soldier adjusted his bandaged arm and shook his head. Rest can wait. Danger does not. Before she could answer, a sharp hum filled the air. The sound was unnatural, cold, and mechanical. The soldier froze. He recognized it instantly. Patrol drones. Enemy machines built to hunt survivors. His eyes narrowed. He motioned for her to stay low. She obeyed, fear flashing across her glowing eyes. The hum grew louder. Branches snapped as the drones cut through the forest. The soldier gripped his rifle, his breathing steady. He could fight, but he was weak and bleeding. If there were too many, either of them would survive. The alien girl's voice trembled. They will see me. They will kill me. The soldier glanced at her. Her body shook, her skin brightening with panic. He reached out, his hand firm on her shoulder. Stay behind me. She stared at him, stunned. You would shield me? Even from your own machines? His answer came without hesitation. Yes. The words were like iron. They carried no doubt, no fear. And in that moment she saw him not as an enemy, but as a wall between her and death. The drones appeared through the fog, their red eyes glowing, their weapons aimed. The soldier lifted his rifle and fired. The forest erupted with sound. Sparks burst from the first drone as it fell, crashing to the ground. Another turned sharply, aiming at the girl. Without thinking, the soldier moved in front of her, taking the blast across his shoulder. Pain tore through him, but he did not fall. He fired again, striking the second drone from the sky. The girl gasped, reaching out to steady him as his knees buckled. His blood stained the earth, yet his eyes remained fixed on the last drone as it circled. He raised his weapon one final time, his arms shaking, and pulled the trigger. The drone exploded in a shower of sparks. Silence returned to the forest, broken only by the soldier's ragged breathing. He dropped to one knee, his strength nearly gone. The alien girl rushed forward, catching his arm before he collapsed. Her small frame strained under his weight, but she refused to let him fall. Her voice cracked with urgency. You are bleeding. You will die if I do nothing. She dragged him toward the fire, her hands trembling as she tore cloth from her own clothing to press against his wound. She worked clumsily, her eyes wet with tears, but she did not stop. The soldier watched her through the haze of pain. Her touch was gentle, almost desperate. He could feel her fear, not for herself, but for him. It was a strange warmth that reached deeper than the fire ever could. She whispered fiercely, "Why did you protect me? Why do you risk your life for me?" His lips curved into the faintest smile, even as his strength faded. "Because you are alive. That is reason enough." Her heart clenched. She pressed the cloth tighter against his wound, refusing to let him slip away. In her mind, the stories of humans as monsters cracked and shattered. Here was one who bled for her. One who fought for her. One who stood between her and certain death. She leaned closer, her voice trembling. "I do not understand you. You should hate me. Yet you save me again and again." The soldier's eyes closed for a moment. His voice came low, almost like a promise. "Sometimes saving one life matters more than winning a war." Her breath caught. The words sank deep into her chest, lighting a fire she could not explain. Gratitude, fear, and something else she dared not name. As the morning sun rose higher, the two sat together in silence. His blood stained her hands, yet she did not let go. For the first time, she chose to stand beside a human, not as prey, not as an enemy, but as something far greater. And in that fragile moment, their bond deepened. It was no longer just survival. It was trust. The forest stretched on for hours as they moved together, each step heavy with silence. The human soldier leaned on his rifle like a cane, his shoulder wrapped tightly where the alien girl had bound his wound. He walked slowly but never stopped. The girl stayed close, steadying him when he faltered. By the time the sun dipped low, they reached an abandoned outpost buried beneath vines and broken stone. The walls were cracked, the roof half collapsed, but it still offered shelter. Inside, dust floated through beams of fading light. Rusted equipment lay scattered across the floor. The soldier lowered himself against the wall, his body weak, his eyes closing as he caught his breath. The girl searched the ruin, her fingers brushing against strange shapes left behind by war. That was when she found it. A transmitter. It was old, damaged, but still alive. A faint hum came from its core. A small light blinked, waiting for a signal. She froze, her hands trembling as she realized what it meant. With this, she could call her people. They would find her. They would rescue her. But they would kill him. Her heart pounded. She glanced back at the human. His head rested against the wall, his eyes half shut, his body weak from blood loss and exhaustion. He trusted her enough to let his guard down. Her breath quickened. She had a choice. If she sent the signal, her people would arrive within hours. They would take her back to safety, to her home, to her family. She would no longer have to fear the forest, the war, or the lies she had begun to doubt. But the human who freed her, the human who gave her water, food, and his own jacket, would be executed before he could even raise his weapon. She pressed her hand to the transmitter. The blinking light glowed against her skin. Her people's voice echoed in her memory. Humans are monsters. Humans cannot be trusted. If you see one, you must never hesitate. Her lips trembled. She looked back at him again. He stirred faintly, his voice low but calm. "Did you find something?" She hid her hands behind her back. "No. Only old things." He nodded faintly and drifted closer to sleep. The sound of his breathing filled the ruined outpost, steady and human. It should have been simple. She had been raised to believe humans were beasts. But now, watching him rest, she saw not a beast but a man who had stood between her and death. Her hands shook harder. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered to herself, "Why can I not choose my people over you?" The transmitter blinked. Each pulse was a heartbeat, demanding her answer. She lifted it. Her fingers hovered over the controls. One press, and her people would hear her call. One press, and the human would die. Her chest heaved. Her tears fell. And then, with a cry that broke in her throat, she raised the transmitter high, and smashed it against the floor. The sound shattered through the silence. The light went dark. The soldier's eyes opened instantly. His hand moved to his weapon, but when he saw her standing there, her chest heaving, tears on her cheeks, and broken metal at her feet, he understood. Slowly, painfully, he pushed himself up. "What did you do?" Her voice cracked. "I chose." His eyes searched hers. There was no trick. No lie. Only truth. "I could not let them hurt you," she whispered, clutching her chest as if her heart would tear apart. "They would have killed you. And I could not watch that happen." The soldier stared at her, silent for a long moment. His face, usually carved from stone, softened. He lowered his weapon. His voice came quiet, almost tender. "You destroyed your only chance to go home." She nodded, tears sliding down her glowing skin. "Yes. Because I no longer know which place is home." The weight of her words sank between them. The outpost was silent, yet the air was filled with the sound of a bond that had been tested and had survived. She had chosen not her people, not her fear, but him. The soldier sat back, his breathing heavy, his eyes still fixed on her. He did not smile, but in his silence there was respect, there was gratitude, and perhaps something deeper that words could not carry. The girl pressed her hands to her face, trembling. For the first time, she realized she had crossed a line that could never be undone. She had betrayed her world. But she had saved her heart. The fire between them had grown brighter. And neither of them could deny it now. The ruins were quiet after the sound of breaking metal. The shattered transmitter lay scattered across the floor like the remains of her past. The alien girl stood trembling, her breath uneven, her hands shaking as if the weight of her decision pressed down on every bone in her body. The human soldier watched her from the shadows of the firelight. His eyes were unreadable, yet softer than before. He saw the choice she had made, and he knew the cost. "You destroyed your chance," he said quietly. Her voice cracked as she answered. "I destroyed my chance to return." "Yes. But I did not destroy myself." The soldier leaned against the wall, his head tilting slightly as he studied her. "You could have betrayed me. It would have been easy." She looked at him with tears still glowing faintly on her cheeks. "I could not. You gave me water when I was dying. You freed me when you could have killed me. You shielded me when the machines came. How can I betray that?" Her words carried no hesitation, only truth. They struck him harder than any weapon. For a long moment, the soldier did not move. Then, slowly, his hand lowered from his rifle. His body eased, though pain still throbbed through his wounds. The girl stepped closer. The firelight caught her silver skin, painting her in warmth. She dropped to her knees beside him and pressed her hand against his bandaged shoulder. "You bleed because of me. You could have left me. But you did not. You chose me before I chose you." Her voice grew softer, fragile as a whisper. "And now I cannot let you stand alone." The soldier looked into her eyes. He saw fear there, but also courage, loyalty, and something deeper that words could not capture. A long silence stretched between them. Finally, he spoke, his tone low and steady. "Do you understand what you've done? You have turned against your people. They will see you as a traitor." Her hands trembled, but she did not look away. "Then let them. If mercy is betrayal, I will still choose it." His breath caught in his chest. No one had ever spoken such words to him before. Not even his own kind. The night deepened, the stars peeking through the broken roof above. They sat together, their shoulders nearly touching. She rested his jacket tighter around her body, not only for warmth, but because it carried his scent, the proof that he was real. She leaned closer, her voice soft, almost breaking. "You are not what they told me. You are not a beast. You are not a monster. You are something greater. And I—" She stopped herself, her chest rising sharply as her heart raced. The soldier's gaze stayed on her. He did not push her to finish. He only let the silence hold her words, heavy and trembling. Her eyes glistened. "I could not let them hurt you. Even if it means I can never go home. Even if it means I am alone. The soldier shook his head slowly. You are not alone. Her breath hitched. Those words pierced through her fear like light through darkness. She lowered her head, tears slipping free. For the first time, she felt a truth greater than the stories of her people. She was not his enemy. She was not his prey. She was his choice. And she had chosen him. The fire burned lower, but its glow lingered on their faces. She stayed by his side, holding the cloth to his wound as if her touch alone could keep him alive. He did not push her hand away. He let her remain close, as if he too understood the unspoken bond between them. The night carried their silence, but it was no longer the silence of strangers. It was the silence of two hearts, heavy with a decision that neither could escape. The girl whispered into the dark, her voice shaking but strong. Then let this be my path. Even if the whole world turns against me, I will not leave you. The soldier's eyes closed, his lips parting with a faint, weary smile. Then we walked together. Her heart surged at those words. It was not a confession of love, not yet. But it was a promise. Stronger than fear. Stronger than war. The decision of the heart had been made. And in that fragile ruin, beneath the alien stars, two enemies had become something more than allies. They had become each other's reason to fight. The morning sun rose slowly over the broken horizon. Its light touched the ruins and painted the forest in soft gold. The soldier and the alien girl stepped out of the crumbling outpost, their bodies weary, their faces marked with the shadows of war. Yet something new shone in their eyes. They walked side by side, moving carefully through the forest. He limped from his wounds, but he did not slow. She stayed close, her hand brushing his arm whenever his steps faltered. They were no longer enemies bound by fear. They were two souls walking together, carrying a fragile hope. The forest was alive again. Birds with silver wings glided through the trees. Strange flowers opened their glowing petals as the sun rose. The girl watched it all with quiet wonder. She had not noticed the beauty of her world before, not when fear ruled her heart. But now, walking beside him, even the broken land seemed to breathe with new life. They stopped at a stream to drink. The soldier filled his flask and passed it to her first. She took it, her eyes meeting his, and for the first time she smiled. It was small, uncertain, but real. The soldier paused, surprised by the sight. He had seen countless faces in battle, faces of rage, faces of despair, faces of the dead. But her smile was different. It was fragile, like a new flame, but strong enough to warm his heart. The girl's voice was soft. When I was trapped, I thought you would kill me. I thought you would eat me. She lowered her gaze, ashamed of the fear she once held. But you gave me water. You gave me freedom. And now you give me more than that. You give me something I never thought possible. The soldier tilted his head. And what is that? She placed her hand against her chest. Her silver skin glowed faintly under the sunlight. Hope. The word hung in the air, clear and powerful. The soldier felt something stir inside him. Something stronger than duty, stronger than survival. For the first time in a long while, he believed in something beyond the war. They continued onward until they reached a ridge overlooking the valley. From there, the world stretched out in ruins and beauty. Smoke from distant battles rose into the sky, but the valley below was green, alive, untouched. The soldier rested against a rock, breathing hard. The girl stood beside him, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Her voice trembled, filled with both fear and longing. What happens now? When our people find us? The soldier looked at her, his expression calm, though the truth was heavy. They will come. They will judge. They may hate us for standing together. Her hands clenched. Then they will call me traitor. And they will call you enemy. He nodded slowly. Yes. But that does not matter. Her eyes widened, startled by his certainty. It does not. He turned toward her, his voice steady, firm, carrying the weight of everything he believed. Because sometimes kindness is stronger than fear. Sometimes one choice can change everything. If they see us together, maybe they will remember what it means to be more than monsters. Her heart raced at his words. She looked at him as if seeing the truth of humanity for the first time. He was scarred, bleeding, and weary, yet his spirit burned brighter than the rising sun. Tears filled her eyes, not of fear but of something deeper. She whispered, "You are not the monster they told me about. You are something greater." The soldier gave a faint smile, his lips curving though pain lined his face. "And so are you." For a moment, silence surrounded them. The wind brushed against the trees, carrying the scent of flowers and smoke together. The girl reached out, her hand trembling, and touched his wounded arm gently. He did not pull away. Two enemies. Two strangers. Now bound by choice, by mercy, and by something that felt dangerously close to love. The valley stretched before them, uncertain and full of peril. Yet when they stepped forward, they stepped together. The alien girl whispered into the morning air, her voice steady with new strength. "Then let the world see us. Let them call me traitor. Let them call you enemy. I will not hide. I will walk beside you." The soldier nodded once, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "And I will not let you fall." They moved down the ridge, their shadows stretching long in the rising sun. Behind them lay war, fear, and lies. Ahead of them lay danger and judgment. But between them, something stronger than both worlds had been born. And so they walked into the dawn. Not as prey and predator. Not as enemies. But as proof that mercy could rise even from the ashes of war. And for the first time, humanity did not shine through conquest. It shone through kindness.